Therapy Geeks, a podcast by Luke McGibbon and Louise Taylor.
Well, hello.
Oh, well, hello there. Well, there was no jingle, there was just flirting with the audience. Was it?
Oh, is this what? Is this
Fancy meeting you here on the internet. Do you come here often? Do you come here too often? You should get off social media, is what I'm saying.
Well, so this is another episode.
This is Therapy Geeks episode 5. Episode 5.
Oh, very good.
I'm just reading the title that Steph's gave it there. He's wrote Therapy Geeks episode 5. Very helpful because I couldn't remember.
Was Foomph because of Fritz Pearls?
Yeah, we were just chatting about old Fritz, not Fritzl, God, no. Fritz is just short for Frederick, it's not short for Fritzl. Wow, we're off to a rollicking start.
Oh my God, this is going to be so good.
I think I'm a bit rusty.
Yeah,
I've got
it's been a
bit
wee
of
while, but...
podcast rust on my podcast hinges.
So what was this? We were like, well, there's quite a few.
Yeah,
I'd
we're
like
sure
to
what
say
to chat
thank
about.
you for the lovely messages.
Yeah, we're really flattered by the fact that anyone even listens and that there's such positive feedback.
Lovely.
No negative feedback yet.
Which we're open to.
We're open to it, but
Because we are all a work in progress.
yes, yeah.
We certainly are a work in
I'm open
progress.
to it, but I'm also not listening to you, and I'm putting my fingers in my ears anytime you speak.
And you go, no.
No. I'm open to you saying it. I'm not open to me hearing it.
Oh dear. So what, we had a dream sent. So we're gonna.
We did.
do you
Oh, we're
wanna
gonna open.
start that?
Oh,
What
let's.
do you think?
Why not open with a dream this week?
Yeah, why not? Because sometimes people mightn't listen to the end.
Yeah.
So if they don't, here you go. You're not going to avoid the dream analysis this time.
Yeah. Let's get a dream. Let's get our dream on.
Yeah. So the lovely Laura,
Hello.
who is
Good friend of the show.
Yeah, and she writes a blog called Being Mommy, Being Me.
Uh-huh.
And she's a wonderful woman who has been really supportive and sent us a dream that she would like for us to analyze.
Hmm.
And Being Mommy, Being Me, about her journey with postnatal and being a mother. And she is just a real inspiration. So absolutely.
Do you know I got postnatal depression?
Did you?
Right after I was born. Spent a lot of time crying.
Jesus.
Sorry.
Keep it to the Monday night at the pub. I had postnatal depression too.
Did you?
Yeah.
Flip. How was that for you?
It wasn't
yeah.
great. Like,
It's not. Yeah.
I've had better days.
It's a stupid question, isn't it? Yeah.
But postnatal depression, I just think it's quite more and more people are being open and honest about it, because it's really like, you look at childbirth, which is usually for more, like, everybody loves a good childbirth trauma story.
Yeah.
I know
Well,
that's, but
they love it.
No, that sounds awful, but they like telling.
Yeah.
Like, everybody, you talk to somebody and they're like, oh my God, I was in labor for 36 hours.
Yeah.
I had no epidurals. Wow. No. I wanted.
Oh, okay. What
It did.
happened?
Well, just they didn't sort it out.
Oh, fuck's sake.
Well, the first one I thought, oh, I'll try, go natural.
Fair dues.
Oh, well, yeah, you know what? Then
Yeah.
by the pushing stage,
Yeah.
there are all these phases. I was like, right, see that natural stuff?
Uh-huh.
Scrap it.
Ditch the fucking herbs.
I want
Get
the
me the
drug.
gas.
I want the drug. Oh, the gas does nothing.
Oh, yeah,
So
get the
I was like,
spinal
want the
thing.
drugs?
Yeah.
They were like, it's too late.
Fuck.
So I did it, right?
Right.
See, as soon as I heard I was pregnant with Lucia,
Yeah.
first sentence, I want an epidural.
Yeah. Get my epidural on.
They never got it.
What?
No.
So they were just late?
Well, she was induced too, so like they had loads of time. I was in
Fuck's
Holland.
sake.
They
They were on their own schedule.
no epidural.
That's
I was
weird.
like, I basically was chanting epidural for like
Oh,
months.
mate.
And then whenever the poor student midwife had to say to me,
Uh-huh.
I'm really sorry, you're fully dilated now, you can't get an epidural.
Uh-huh.
I swear to God, I felt so sorry for her. And it was only because she looked so pathetic.
It's hard to break news like that, isn't
I
it?
was like, that's okay, don't worry.
Yeah.
Then I wept for 10 minutes and then I just got stuck in and Lucia was born.
Wow.
But I do think a lot of that was connected to a lot of the feeling powerless and the birth, Lucia was back to back, incredibly painful, very long. It was completely exhausted. Nothing went to plan, and I do think a lot of that impacted and was all added to postnatal depression. Postnatal depression is very, very common, but it's something that you can recover from, and with lots of support, you can,
Yeah.
I went to, I got a lot of support, but it was like, I do think the pregnancy and the births.
Yeah. Scary business.
But then
I imagine.
there's a lot of stuff that makes it a bit scarier. Like they ramp it up. Like you're always told, like, one of my friends is big into natural births, and I think she's going to probably be a doula or something.
A doula?
Doula. People who help. Doulas are independent midwives, so they were big in Brighton. When we were in Brighton, doulas were more popular. By taking the birth process out of medical hands more, which to some people would be seen irresponsible, but it's become such a medicalized thing that it's
can
actually
feel very dramatic, and
yes.
it's quite I guess disempowering to put any life in the hands of an expert. And out of your own hands, just go take care of this for me. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. And not listen to your body.
Yeah.
Not listen to what's going on.
Yeah.
But
your body very much makes itself known.
Yeah.
Is what I gather from pregnancy.
Yeah. My body did incredible work. Just it was a shame I couldn't be a bit more out of my head.
Yeah.
I'll never know what an epidural feels like.
Yeah. Give me that labor bong hit.
So that wasn't exactly what we were supposed to talk about.
No, but I think it's fruitful. Do you know whenever I was born, do you know meconium?
Oh yeah.
Meconium, for our listeners at home, I hope none of you are eating. Meconium is poo. It's baby poo in the womb.
Yeah.
When I was born, I got loads of meconium in my eyes and throat, and so I near died. Which is like, that's just a little story. But what I liked is that the very first thing I saw in this world was my own shit coming towards me. Like, what a way to set a tone. You know what I mean? Like, I think, like, screw the Union Jack and the tricolour, put that on a flag.
Look, you might covered in shit. Oh, dear, see, whenever Lily was born, there was a medical student in with me, and I felt really bad for Steph, because I was I mightn't have had drugs, but it's a bloody, I felt off my head when she was born. I was like so relieved it's done. Here she is. She was like, but you know what I did? I was holding her, so she came out and was straight on skin to skin. I offered the medical student to hold her before Steph.
Oh,
so it's like, get out of the way of the father. You get lost here. Do you want to hold her?
I feel for both parts of it, because when you see someone you love in such pain, and also you kind of feel responsible because you sort of put the baby there, and there's not really much you can do other than just be like, I'm here, and that doesn't really feel sometimes like, I wish I could do more. Again, I'm speculating. I've never been present at any birth, so this is all I hasten down of just what I imagine it's like. But
well, Steph, I thought he was incredible because he just did. He was just a really calm, quiet strength, and he was just really like attentive, but I think it's calm. If you ever watch One Born every minute, I don't watch it now. Their husbands there to say things like, I don't know how they aren't thrown out of the room. Like, if Seth had said a load of insensitive things while I was in that much pain, like, he was like, well, he did. No, see, whenever I went into it was the contraction started with Lily, first one. My friend was round watch. She's a Liverpool fan. He's an Arsenal fan, and I was in the I was in the living room, and I was like, I felt things were starting to happen, but he didn't think I was in labour because I was talking too much. He was like, no, they said that if you're in labour, you won't talk.
You make it sound like he was looking forward to that.
No, he's like, no, I think you're... And my friend too, I was lying like in the back of the living room
Yeah.
with my friends. One of my good friends, and Steph just watching the football while they're going, nah, I don't think this is it. No, you're talking too much. She said you won't be able to talk. I was like, no, I think something's happening. And then I think Liverpool won, which wasn't great. But then next day he got a daughter, so he's all right.
But it all balances out, The world has a way.
So that wasn't exactly the plan of therapy
No.
geeks, but this is what happens when you start talking
I
about birth stories.
Yeah.
And
Well, we're going to start with the dream and then plow on.
right, Laura's dream.
Laura H.
Yeah.
To preserve some anonymity.
I don't think she comments load on the.
Yeah, I suppose so. But then a dream's quite a personal thing, so she's probably fine with it. But I'd rather.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah,
right.
I'd rather take some measure.
So, do you want me to read it out and then you interpret? Right.
Yeah, for our listeners as well.
Hi, Louise and Luke.
Hello.
Hi. Here's my dream sequence. I dream this now and again, no pattern to it, but definitely 4 to 5 times a year, I'd say, maybe more.
Okay.
That's probably not relevant. Well,
it's recurring, which means that, and the theory goes, the unconscious is trying to get a message to you that you haven't quite received yet.
Ooh.
That it's nightmares, especially recurring nightmares. It's like your unconscious, in theory, is sort of going, listen.
Oh yes. I had a recurring dream about A levels, but anyway, it's not about me here. It's about Laura's the dream. I'm in my house, but it's not my childhood home.
It's not your childhood home, did you say?
But it's my childhood home. The dream. I'm in my house, but it's my childhood home.
Okay.
I know that someone or something scary, threatening, dangerous. Sometimes with a weapon like a gun or knife. Sometimes it's an alien type creature.
Yes.
Is approaching my house.
Okay.
I feel panicked and scared and run to close all doors and windows. When I lock the door, I always check to see if it is locked by pulling down on the handle, and it opens.
Ooh, scary.
I lock it again and it opens. Usually on the third lock, it locks. Right?
Yeah.
Then I run to the back door and the same thing happens again. I usually wake in either at the front door or back door, sometimes before I manage to lock the door. I always wake him feeling scared, panicked, and very alert. Analyze. Well.
And they're off. Actually, Laura, I would love to continue this in conversation on the Facebook chat after this, because there's a lot of it. Obviously, the dreamy has to do with analysis, but I'm sure there's some stuff I can throw out there for the benefit of the podcast. So 4 to 5 times I wrote, that's obviously recurring, so there's a message that is perhaps not fully received yet. There's something that Laura said early on, which you'll often find a lot of people who tell you their dreams do, is something counterfactual. Whenever someone says, I was in my house, but it wasn't my house, that it feels like your house, but it's not, doesn't look like your house. So it says, it's my house, but it's my childhood home. So whenever something's counterfactual in a dream, you often sort of have to ask yourself, why did the dream make it like that?
Oh,
yes. Is there a reason? Is there something like,
yes.
if there's a wall that isn't a wall in a dream, is there a reason that the dream made it look like there isn't a wall? Anyway, so it's a house, but a childhood home. Oftentimes as well, a house or home is a reflection of your head. Basically, your mental state is where you live. So we'll say childhood home. Maybe you're in a sort of childlike state or something from your childhood, perhaps. Again, is broad brushstrokes. So, and it's definitely, it's not science. So something is coming. Scary / threatening. Now, it's got a weapon. Did they say it was a gun or something? A gun and
sometimes with a weapon like a gun or knife. Sometimes it's an alien type.
I think an alien thing.
I know. She says, I know that someone or something scary, threatening, dangerous.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes with a weapon like a gun or knife. Sometimes it's an alien type creature is approaching the house.
Okay. Well, to me, there could be a number of things. So something's coming. Obviously, you feel like something's coming. And it's scary and it's threatening. And sometimes it's alien. So it's something that's quite unknown. I'd be wondering if perhaps also that like that could be perhaps a part of you as well, because
Oh,
characters in a
yes.
dream are often part of you. And if it's maybe a shadowy figure, I'd be tempted to jump on the label of the Jungian shadow. That
Yes.
it's it's a it's a source of all your opposite features,
Oh, yes.
like that, and not necessarily bad ones. Like some opposite features can be good. Like basically, I think I've yammered on about this before, but the shadow is all your discarded opposite traits. So if you're a really nice person, that
Mm-hmm.
means all your bad stuff's in the shadow, and it's gonna pop up every now and again, and in times of your life when you lose control, or maybe when you drink. So it could be good things as well, but you feel threatened by it either way,
Oh,
because it's different.
yes.
It's alien, um, and you
And it's
close.
scary.
It's very scary, very scary.
It's scary
Yeah.
when because being a complete person, we're not taught to be a complete
Yes.
whole person.
Taught to be
We're
a
taught
good person.
and we're doing
We're doing bunny
the air
ears,
quotes.
air quotes. Yeah.
You have to be a good
A
person.
good person. Yeah.
Whereas we are complex.
Mm.
I am a very good person,
Uh-huh.
but I am capable. We always say this. We are
Yes.
capable. All of us are
Of
capable
evil.
of evil.
Mm.
But we can't, we have to be aware of all of that.
Yeah.
Because the curious part, because then once we're aware of all the capabilities on the dark sides and the not so nice, then we can actually be in more control of it.
Yeah.
It's when we completely deny it.
Yeah.
It's actually quite dangerous.
It's in huge control of us, which is, why I think certain levels of fundamentalist Christianity are quite dangerous mentally for, it's like control yourself entirely, never do anything bad.
Oh, you look at the church, a lot of the church I would talk to ministers about this.
Yeah.
A lot of especially the really controlling churches, there's a fundamental problem with their humanity and their integrity.
Yeah.
Because they will ostracize, it's very conditional. Their acceptance of their family, of themselves, is very conditional on certain behaviors.
Yeah.
Well, where's the unconditional love? What's that got to do with Christ?
Yeah, they don't mention that enough. And it's all over the Bible, really.
Where's the compassion?
Yeah.
The integrity is like integrity in a lot. I'm like, where is it?
Yeah.
In a lot of the really strong full-on churches.
I feel like I've dragged us off course.
Yeah, no, I do. I drag you off course. But that's
No.
but that would be a running theme throughout Northern Ireland. I think people being scared of
of what they can do.
Yeah.
Like, and it's absolutely. It needs to be brought out in a healthy way, I think.
Yes.
Okay, so she tries to close all the doors and windows.
Ooh.
So it's like shut off to it. Don't look at it because the windows are closed too. I don't even want to see it. I'm hiding from it. And then just at the last minute, finding that the lock doesn't work. And suddenly you're not safe, or perhaps insecurity. I used to have a recurring motif in all my dreams when I was a teenager, that there was a button that was meant to wake me up from the dream, and just as things got scary, I would press the button and the button wouldn't work. And then I would get so scared that I would wake up. So that says to me about like insecurity and false things that are meant to bring you security but don't actually really work under pressure. Does that make sense?
False thing. Well, yeah, because
False
you're
security.
like it's about a button.
Yeah.
But if you
in this case, a lock.
Yeah, exactly.
It's meant to give you security, but it's actually false. It's broken. It swings wide open. Whenever she tries the door handle, is she trying to escape through the back door, or is she checking it locks
No,
too?
she's checking everything. She's trying to stop things coming in.
So she feels unprotected on all sides, really, from front and back. And that's all I got right now. But I'd like to pursue further chat.
I do think it's shadow.
Yeah, I think there's probably definitely elements of shadow there.
I think
definitely. Why am I so afraid of certainty?
well, because there is none.
It's an uncertain thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, but like our shadow side is we're not taught about it. But it's definitely there.
Yeah. It's absolutely. And everyone, no matter what, like it's never complete.
Yeah, you're not like, and I don't know. I just think that most anxiety, probably a lot of anxiety dreams, because if you're looking at the unconscious, that would be about, in spirituality terms, they'd be saying that's your soul speaking to you.
Yeah.
Saying it's okay to be you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't be scared of
Don't lock yourself off from it. Open up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Open up.
Yeah.
You're okay.
And of course, these two doors are just small gaps in an otherwise shut down house. Like, it might not might not necessarily be enough. Maybe more needs to be opened. Um, so just I have some questions that I would ask, and I will in Facebook, but I'll just air them right now. Which is that, obviously, what's your hunch? Because the dreamer's hunch is important. What was the general feeling of the dream? I think she gave us that. It was a lot about anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
What happened the day before you had this dream? Every time you've had it. Um, more about the place, about their childhood home, what comes up when you think about that. The story, sometimes you condense a dream into a story that's a few sentences, it suddenly makes sense. So, like, if there's something about a dream, you say, well, you crossed over from something to another place. And that says much more than just we went over a bridge, and it says a lot more about what the dream's trying to communicate. The characters and what they're like, could that character be part of you? Privately, could you be that person? Like, as in real life, sometimes Gestalt dream therapy, they would make you act out as if you were one of the characters in the dream. So say be that alien creature for a second, and how does it walk and how does it talk or think, and like what does it have to say for itself? Be it alone in a
Yeah.
room maybe. What does it have to say or do to you? Can the
Mm-hmm.
dream continue? So that's sometimes you just sit down and it's kind of a meditation of sorts. You try and clear your mind, think of the end of the dream, and just see where it goes. Try not to interfere. Just let it happen. What are the symbols of the dream? Could the dream be a body analogy? Like sometimes being higher up somewhere in a dream, it could mean you're being higher up in your head. A higher level of consciousness. It's like we were talking about the house kind of being like living in your head, like your mental state. Counterfactual. We were talking about counterfactual things. Uh, how does it relate to your childhood? Well, it's childhood home. There's something there, I think. Um, I'm thinking as well, like the house being a place of shelter that's starting to be weak in this dream, but it's also a childhood thing. Like, I'm like, are you hiding from something in your childhood, or are you hiding in a childish way? Um, Personal growth, like, what are you trying to focus on changing right now? The dream could be about that. Sexuality. Could the dream be about sexuality, basically, and spirituality? They're the last. So it's a lot of questions I've got to ask you, but
But do you
yeah.
think, right? So anxiety dreams recurring. So there's been 2 times in my life I can think of where I had recurring dreams,
Uh-huh.
right? And they did scare me a bit, but actually they were good.
Okay.
But they were. I was getting ready, I think, at that time to move to just grow, progress more as a person.
Yeah.
So I think back. I had years ago in my final year at university, I got a job. So I got a job with JAP program, Japanese girl. We talked about that.
Yes, we did.
Yes,
Yeah.
right. But before I went in that, I
Hmm.
had anxiety dream.
Uh-huh.
Before I actually got on a plane and moved to a country where I didn't know the language and I didn't know
Hmm.
anybody, I was my dreams were communicating. Like I had these chasing dreams all the
Ah.
time,
Okay.
and it was around a school.
Uh-huh.
So, but it was outside. It wasn't in the school. It was outside. I could
And you were
remember
going to
like
teach in this program, weren't you, as well? Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was teaching in
Uh-huh.
Japan in different secondary schools and elementary schools. So I had about 5 course schools and I traveled around teaching in them all.
Wow.
That was brilliant. Brilliant.
Yes.
But I was scared before
Hmm.
because I didn't know I was going into the unknown.
Yeah, it's a scary dream.
So, but actually,
Hmm.
they stopped once I went because I was very happy. I had it brilliant 2 years. But
Yeah.
actually, if I'd have interpreted those, I'd have thought maybe that was a sign not to go.
Oh, right. No.
You see what I mean? They were
Well, I guess all the dream was telling you was your current state. It wasn't necessarily a warning. It was
okay.
saying, I am feeling anxious about this. Take note of this anxiety. Please
Yes.
let yourself feel it rather
Okay.
than, struggle against it and feel more anxious.
Well, that's so
Does that
that
make
could be
does that make sense to you?
that's incredible because I've now so rather than struggle with it, feel it.
Yeah.
I'm telling you in your unconscious
Yeah.
that you are actually because if anybody had spoken to me at that time
Hmm.
during the day when I was conscious, I would have said, "No, I'm really looking forward to it. This is brilliant."
Oh, so deep
Because that's what
down.
I thought.
Yeah.
But actually, my dreams were communicating. Actually, it's okay to be a bit scared. You don't have to
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
pretending that it's all.
Yeah. I'm thinking as well about how the symbology of being chased around a school, and you're saying you went to multiple schools.
Yes,
That the anxiety wasn't necessarily about what you were doing, but the constancy of it, that you'd be
I
moving from
didn't
place
know
to place.
I didn't know what I knew
Yeah,
I was going to. I knew the city I would be in,
yeah,
but I didn't know until I got to into Japan what my role would look like.
Yeah.
I knew I'd be in schools.
And while you were outwardly quite confident, like, was there like moments of unexpected behavior that could have come from repressed anxiety, or?
Well, I didn't really have that much time to think about it because it was
Mm.
very finals.
Mhm.
Right, so the whole final year of uni was very, very intense.
Yeah.
So it was very stressed.
Mhm.
I was preparing to move, and then it was like boom exams, boom finals, boom graduation, and then 2 days later I was on a flight.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, for first class.
Yeah.
They flew it's first
Yeah.
class at that time, first class flight, flying over to Tokyo.
Treat yourself.
3 days in a 5-star hotel with like thousands of other people from all over the world.
Uh-huh.
And it was just like boom. You just like, it didn't actually think about it. I knew I wanted to travel and wanted to do something, but I didn't maybe think about it. And that might be something that I do. I make decisions and I kind of bury them. I don't
Uh-huh.
think about them too much because I think if I think too much, I might get really scared.
Think now, feel later.
Yes.
But you gotta feel it to heal it.
Yes.
Well, not always, I guess. I think there's a healthy amount of repression you can have for certain things. Some things need to be taken in chunks. And perhaps that's what the dream was doing, was feeding you that anxiety in healthily digestible chunks.
And that's what the recurring dreams are sending you a little message.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just a current state thing. Sometimes it's a suggestion. But like, if it's a suggestion, it's going to be a lot more clear than just telling you that you're anxious. There'll be some sort of like way out suggested or something like that.
I wish they were a bit more direct, though.
Me too, yeah.
Hi, Louise. This is your
Just straight up. What's going on?
Is your unconscious? You're being a bit of a plonker here.
You'd have a proper relationship with your unconscious. Like, you have a dream and it says, "You ain't fooling anyone with that dress, Karen." And yes, you have put on weight.
Who cares?
Who cares? Actually, yeah, I forgot about that. But I'm picturing a rather bitchy unconscious.
Yeah, that unconscious is awful. Unconscious can stand the unconscious. So,
today we were going to talk about either labels or autism, or a bit of both. A bit of the bothies.
No, I was saying about autism, something that comes up a lot.
Aye.
Children, the rates of diagnosis of autism are increasing. But are they? Or is it just something that I'm aware of, so I believe that they are?
Yeah.
Because we were saying about echo chambers on social media and stuff, and if you follow pages that you're interested in, that becomes your world.
Yeah.
But autism, I see a lot about women my age getting late diagnosis, and autism is just... I didn't hear about it whenever I was young.
For some people, it's it really illuminates their life. Like, I'm actually maybe working with a few clients right now with autism or Asperger's, and like, I don't really have any doubts that they have it, because it's just little things like they'll talk about something that they've never spoken to me about before as if I already know it. So, and that reminds me perhaps of one of the diagnostic tools that people use for autism, which is I think it's by Baron Cohen, which is, that is Borat's cousin, I believe. He's a big name in autism research. Simon Baron Cohen, that's who it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty sure this is his test, but basically, in his theory, people with autism or Asperger's have a weak or no theory of mind, which is the ability to guess what someone else is thinking. So the test is pretty simple. Let's say Pirate Pete has a sandwich. He loves the sandwich. And he puts it on the table and he turns around, and while he's turned round, his friend Pirate Oscar takes the sandwich from the table and puts it under a chair. It's hidden. When Pirate Pete turns around, where does he go looking for the sandwich? And he should someone who's neurotypical would say Pirate Pete goes looking for the sandwich on the table, because that's where Pirate Pete thinks it is. You're able to get into the mind of Pirate Pete. But someone with autism can't get into the mind of Pirate Pete, and he's like, well, I know the sandwich is under the cone, so Pete's going to look under the cone, or under the seat, so he's going to look under the seat.
Really?
Yeah. Well, that's the test, essentially.
Yeah, but like, it's a spectrum.
It is a spectrum, yeah.
But that's very black or white.
That's quite a yes or no one.
That's a yes or no one.
I believe there's other tests, like, because, well, I've spoken about this before, that I'm just on never-ending placement and working towards accreditation as a counsellor. My actual job is working with adults with learning difficulties, and one of the ones that I was looking at their medical files as is it was for a PIP form, and the test that originally diagnosed them as learning disability was something called the Wechsler Objective Reading Dimensions Test, or WORD.
Oh, that's catchy.
It's very, yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they really fancied up those words just to get the good acronym there, the WORD. And that's like a reading IQ test. And then there's I think a Wechsler one for numbers, so I think it's WOND, which is Wechsler Objective Numerical Dimensions or whatever. But I think that gives you a sort of numerical or reading IQ, and that can put you down as having learning disability or learning difficulties. I'm not familiar with the correct term at the moment, but
well, what is the point? Right. So I love this because you're like, what's the correct term? What is the point of them? Right.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about it.
Mhm.
I keep reading different things, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm a bit like that. I'm very literal at
Yeah.
times.
How do
Or
you?
I'm
Yeah, sorry.
no, sorry, no. I'm very like I was telling you. I was reading this book. It's called Nerdy, Shy, and Socially Inappropriate, and it's by a woman called Cynthia Kim. And there was a thing she wrote, and I was like, I told you about how in uni she got a diagnosis in her 40s, and she said how at uni or college, or when she was concentrating, she'd always look confused. She'd
Yeah.
frown.
Yeah.
And I do that.
You showed me that earlier, and
Yeah,
I thought your professor must think you're skeptical of everything
really
that he said.
concentrating.
Yeah.
But my face looks like, what the fuck are you saying? That's my face. I have a few times over the years, people have said, do you understand? Are you okay? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, well, it's just your face. I'm like, yeah, that's just my face. I'm concentrating.
Yeah.
But it's like, and then I wrote a couple of blogs on this about labels and diagnosis, and then I wrote a blog on tisms, and it's like
Tisms, I like that.
yeah, because one of my friends who I interviewed for Children of the Revolution, she said we all have tisms.
Sure.
But it's like, why is there so many labels and diagnoses flying about?
Mm-hmm.
And also, my brother, who's a teacher, he was like, "You definitely have ADHD." Like, I was like, "Yeah," but I did. I went through school. I did okay. Like, and I'm now
Sure.
studying, and I love studying.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do. But why in my day was it fine? I had no behavioral issues and stuff like that. And now everybody's so quick to go, oh, there's some, oh, that's.
I think there is well, this is it. I think it's still hotly contested because your boys, like say Carl Rogers was a fella who was against diagnosis as a whole,
Yes,
as an entire thing, and he thought it was to do with present moment experience, and like there is to an extent some truth in that.
Yes.
And I think you need to, of course. There's a great meme I saw recently where if you're not listening in a team meeting, you can interrupt at any time and say it's all about balance, and everyone will agree with you. But it is all about balance. Like
it is all about balance.
I don't think you can live in a world entirely without diagnosis because that leaves people behind. But I don't think you can live entirely in a world of diagnosis because then puts people in boxes that they don't necessarily belong in. Some people,
But it's just all about how we try. So say you get a diagnosis and it helps you.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't understand why there's so many more children getting diagnosed with autism, and there's nothing wrong with them. They're just not willing to sit down and be bored for 6 hours.
Or well, there's an over medication epidemic in America and things like that, isn't there? Of ADHD and ADD
Ritalin.
and stuff, and Ritalin and all that stuff. I'm not sure what the current situation is in that. For all I know, Ritalin's been banned. I don't know.
No, they're still and they're medicating children. So maybe me, who did well in school, but in the current with my teacher, he was like, "Yeah, you definitely have it." I'm like, "Yeah." I would be like, I do change my thought. I find it hard to concentrate if I don't really want to.
Yeah.
But I think those are the best children.
I think there's again like so much about balance because like if you heard of Artie Lang, I just can't remember how to say it.
Who?
I think he was a poet. I'm not familiar with any of his poetry, just his work with mental health. He decided to start a community of just no medication for people with schizophrenia and things like that. It was called something Hall. I can't remember, but basically it was a community of people with just like no medication allowed. It's all about community and connection, and that's what's going to heal you. And like to some extent,
Yes.
there was great success with some of them, and then with others, like I mean, I can't remember if it actually burned down or something like that, but it had to be stopped eventually because the police were called about something or other. There's a similar thing in America called soteria, which I think was Spanish for salvation or something, or Mexican maybe. Don't trust me, but it was a similar project to Artie Lang's something Hall project, and similar result in that like some people like they don't need medication. Schizophrenia like was essentially like, oh, I don't want to say cured, like they were living healthy and full lives without medication
That's
with
incredible.
schizophrenics. But in the end, it had
That's
to be
brilliant.
stopped because somebody with schizophrenia tried to set it on fire, and the police were called, and it was deemed unsafe.
Well,
I mean,
arsonists.
it was, well, yeah, like this is it. Like I think even within diagnosis, there's further diagnosis you can
Yes.
make, because there was obviously plenty of people with schizophrenia who were suitable for a project like
Yes,
Soteria,
exactly.
and then there was plenty of people with schizophrenia who maybe medication's fine for them. Like maybe like if they're setting a lot of stuff on fire, then yeah, get them the meds.
You look at it, right?
Uh-huh.
ADHD,
Yes.
attention deficit hyperactivity.
Yes.
I have a lot of energy, right?
Yeah.
And I have attention deficit. Have I? Because I actually really like studying some things in minute detail.
Yeah.
But I have attention deficit if I'm not interested in the subject.
Yeah.
So am I ADHD or not? Because I can study things in complete depth. I'm doing a PhD.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going into real depth. And I love it, and I really enjoy it because it's my subject.
Yeah.
Whereas you couldn't actually sit me down and make me like languages. I've no interest
Maths
in learning.
for me.
Yeah.
Don't give a
so
shit.
because I'm not interested in learning these because I'm not interested in certain things.
Yeah.
Is that I've attention deficit there?
Yeah, exactly. Like, where do we draw the line in the sand between boredom and illness, or passion and illness?
Exactly.
I mean, there has to be a line somewhere, because I do think medication has a place.
Yes.
I just think maybe the line should be drawn a little further up than it is. But I'm sure for every person who says their kid's been zombified, there's another person who says that their life's been drastically improved by medication. I do think maybe it just takes further studying. Like, and again, like we were talking about increasing diagnoses. I do hear people say it a lot. I haven't fact checked it, but I imagine it's true that there's a lot more autism diagnosis and stuff. And I guess it's just because reduction in stigma, so people are more likely to get tested and things like that, and just better diagnosis tools. Like, we're getting more, like, obviously that Baron Cohen one's quite simple. I think there's probably deeper, more constructive tests that can be arranged.
Well, I did the tests
Uh-huh.
for the thing I was writing. It was saying your WAP BAM. You could have, you might not.
Yeah. I think I had some of them when I was a teenager as well, but they were like online tests. They were like the equivalent of what Disney Princess
Well, that's what I did.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if it's true or not.
But I might
They
go.
make it sound like it's.
Whenever I go to Queens, I might go.
Aye.
I might go to Queens and get a
You should.
diagnosis.
Why not? Why not?
Well, how would it negatively impact my life?
Well, it could, but it could positively impact your life.
How would it? Because I don't take labels that seriously.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, it wouldn't
fluid
impact
with
you
it, yeah.
then. But some people, it could become an excuse, or it could become empowering.
Yes.
It could become, I can say what I want now because I can just wave my autism card and just,
Do you need it?
Yeah. Maybe you do need it. And or it could be, well, now I understand more about my needs and more what I require from interactions, and also I'll not feel stupid about wanting to be alone. Like, I remember reading an article. No, it wasn't from any sort of scientifically reputable source. It was like cracked.com or something a million years ago, about there was a theory that autism actually had an evolutionary bias. That the theory goes that in like caveman times, the gene that causes autism now, when it was in cavemen, like autistic cavemen were like lone wolf people, and
Mhm.
the traits of obsessiveness
Yes.
were turned towards things like hunting and gathering, and so the people with autism in the Stone Age were basically just badasses living living on their own in like a cave, not talking to anyone because they didn't fucking have to, like making their own spheres and shit, whereas now it's got a totally different image.
Yeah, but if you like, so see with like different communities, whenever I'm meeting children, some children who've had a diagnosis or been close to, usually incredibly bright. Now
Yes.
maybe that's the negative, but very bright, and they might be obsessed with certain things.
Mm.
But what is wrong with being really, really engrossed in something?
Yeah, absolutely nothing, unless it's to the extent where it damages other parts of your life, like uh but you could say about addicted things, you can
Yes.
say about chocolate, you can,
Yeah.
like, if you're engrossed in something, be it food or a topic, to the extent that important parts of your life suffer, like your ability to wash or you know live a healthy full life, though what is that as well, but
Yes.
then it's a problem. But like, the clients that I'm currently seeing in counseling, like, one of them is undiagnosed, but he's receiving services for it, which I'm not quite sure how that works, but he's receiving helpful services, and he needs them. And another client, like, he got his diagnosis a few years ago, and for him, it just made everything in his life make so much sense.
Oh,
It was
brilliant.
really like, and when I see him, I'm like, I'm so glad, because like, I can just imagine, I can't imagine how hard his life must have been before he knew that. Like, I don't know why I think this or think that, and you know, somebody I know got diagnosed when they were like 16 with learning disability, and I can't help but think that's so late, and how hard, like, up until he or she was 16, like, to them it was just like, well, I'm just stupid, like, rather than like, oh no, there's a reason for this, and I can live a great life, and I don't have to feel like I'm some sort of idiot,
But
like,
you see,
I'm so much more.
right? See, with like, that was another thing with my masters. Have you ever had this, right? So dyslexia,
Uh-huh.
another thing I got tested for at my master's level.
Uh-huh.
But now it's so much easier. So I had 10, there were words I just couldn't see the difference.
Uh-huh.
Certain words.
Yeah.
Not loads, but certain. How and who.
Mhm.
All the time mess it up.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The, there's certain words that just no matter how many times
Mm.
I just couldn't see the difference. But now with computers all that there, it makes it easier, and there's more
Yeah, yeah.
help in terms of learning. Like I didn't
Yeah.
have a full on one at all. It was just, I remember my undergraduate supervisor
Mhm.
for my dissertation, and at that point I didn't even use spell check or anything. He was like, for the love of God, could you use your ideas are brilliant,
Uh-huh.
but you're not thorough.
Uh-huh.
I was too through other,
Yeah.
as I can't be bothered to, I couldn't read over things too many times.
Mm.
I get too bored.
Mm-hmm.
So I write it. I might read over it once or twice, and then boom, it's gone, which is going to be really challenging for this thesis. But with the spell checks and everything. So
Yeah.
at that point, when I wrote that dissertation in 1999, I had like the tiniest word processor.
Yeah.
So I couldn't actually see the whole documents until they're.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what we were writing on. So whenever I was writing things out or writing essays out at school and all,
Yeah.
we weren't doing them on computers. Now it's so much easier.
Yeah.
The computers they sort out. Yeah, they help you. They check your spelling, all that there. Whereas they didn't do it earlier. So whenever they looked at, like, and one of them said, look, you mix a few things up. You can't see some how and who's always,
Mm-hmm.
which makes you can look at it a bit silly if you mix up words like that there academically.
Yeah.
But it was just like, does that mean I'm dyslexic?
That's it. I have no idea. Like,
No.
I used to get so jealous of people with dyslexia in school, because I was a slow writer and I was never able to finish tests in time, and I used to be like, where do they get extra time? Like, and now I look back and I'm like, if I'd looked around, there was probably some sort of diagnosis I could have got for being a
Yes.
slow writer that would have, but
Yes.
yeah.
And would it helped you? So that's where the beauty maybe
guess-
of the diagnosis can be. If you're confident enough, don't let it impact your self-esteem.
Yeah.
Don't let it affect you, because everybody's getting diagnoses at the minute. But if it
Yes.
can empower you
Yeah.
and help you
Yeah.
live a better life, take that.
Wow.
But don't let it define you.
God, I feel like we've completed this. Like in the we're a bit early, I think, but
No,
like
but here I've got
I
a
feel like
quote.
that's a really good summary for everything we've just said. Like
Yeah.
I feel it's yeah.
Yeah, don't let a diagnosis
Yeah.
think, oh yeah, that's who I am. Don't live your life around it.
Yeah.
Take it and use it.
Yeah, absolutely. I wonder if the same applies to mental health diagnosis as well.
That's what I was thinking, yes. Because I do think you can move on past mental health diagnosis. Well,
Yeah.
you can.
Yeah, yeah.
It doesn't have to, whereas I think a lot of people are living their lives thinking, I am this. But I think we've talked about this.
I guess we have talked about being something versus something being an external thing.
Yes.
And if something being an external thing kind of gives you a bit more power, or it doesn't. This is the uncertain world we live in.
So this quote. So how are we doing? We're doing all right. Remember,
We started at 3
3
minutes, so
So do you want to do this quote?
yeah,
Right.
let's whip out some quotes.
Carl Rogers is the person centered, and this is. Do you want to do? Will I do this one first?
Yeah, go for it. I'm trying to see if I've got any dreams as well.
The good life is a process, not a state of being. It is a direction, not a destination. So the good life is a process, not a state of being.
I like that one.
I love it.
Yeah, I think it's relation to like moment to moment experience, which I guess is kind of what Gestalt and person centered stuff is all about.
It's about growth, though.
Yeah, that you're never quite there. There's a really good
No.
quote by Alan Watts about. I feel like I probably said this before. I have this horrible habit of repeating myself. Tell me if I have in the comments, and I'll pay you back in chocolate buttons.
We'll repeat about it and we'll talk about it again next time.
So there's this great quote by well, I guess we could call him a philosopher. Yeah, philosopher Alan Watts, about how life is more like music, because the purpose of music isn't just to get to the end of the music, or else it would be one note.
Oh,
So
that's lovely.
yeah, so life is more like music, that it's about going through it. And then sometimes education is kind of treated as that one note thing, where it's like you just got to get to the end of this primary school and then you'll be happy, and you just got to get to the end of secondary school and then you'll be happy, you just got to get a job and then you'll be happy, and then you get a job and you go, what now, so used to having this goal up ahead of you.
Question everything.
Yeah,
Everything you've been taught.
yeah,
Everything.
it's like the NWA said, fuck the police.
Oh, Jesus. I didn't know we were going there.
No, I don't say fuck the police, but I mean, it's, question everything.
But
Essentially.
and I think whenever something like that, it's not about the destination, it's the journey.
Yes.
That things like that, and knowing that we're never done, brought me such comfort. And that was such a relief for me. Because I was like, oh, right, I don't have to be sorted. Well, it's a good job. Like, I don't have to be sorted at any point, because I'm evolving, I'm growing, I'm changing, and I'm in control of who I can be. I didn't think that for a long time.
There's a great quote from like East of Eden, but I can't remember what it was, but it was something like, no, you don't have to be perfect, you can be good, or something like that.
Yeah.
That's a nice one.
But that's another thing with, so I talk about spirituality a lot.
Aye.
Spirituality has brought me so much comfort and joy, and just a completely different way of looking at it. See, when something that could be perceived as bad, bad. Now, not really tragic. I'm not talking about unexpected death, things like that. I'm talking about something where you don't get necessarily the outcome that you thought, or you maybe believed at one point you wanted.
Yeah.
But spirituality, I love it, because it's like, where's the lesson? And they talk about it like in alchemy terms.
Oh, alchemy.
Yeah.
Quite popular with Jungians as well.
You're like, this is supposed to be happening. What's the lesson? What's the learning? And you just go, well, thank you.
Sorry.
But that's what I mean. Like with the spirituality, you're like, sometimes you are grateful for the things you don't get.
Yeah.
you're very grateful that you don't actually get what you want sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. That everything has a function and purpose.
Yeah.
Actually, that's kind of what I really like about psychodynamics
Yeah.
sometimes is that it like in some psychodynamic things, everything that you do has a function and purpose. So if you're going through depression or anxiety, it has a function in your life
Yes.
that you just need to work out together. And what is it trying to assist by being?
Yes.
What is its function in protecting you from, or is it protecting you from something?
Yeah.
It's there's
Yeah.
so much.
With depression's the harder one because I think that's your depression. See, whenever you're dealing with somebody who's angry,
Yeah.
I think I've said anger is an easier one. They're not as detached. Depression, they're more detached from their emotions. So you're trying to, they're starting to cut off. They're maybe too painful.
Yeah.
Whereas with anger, they're not that far.
Yeah.
Gone, you see?
Yeah.
They're struggling with emotions or there's things coming up. But with depression, when you're sitting with somebody who is so low,
Yeah.
it can be very, very hard
Absolutely.
to nurture them and support them and like walking towards those emotions.
Yeah.
Because they're probably on the way back to feeling good. They're going to go through a very angry phase for
Yeah.
a while.
Yeah, and maybe they should. Maybe that's the motivation that's required. Is that I've been reading a bit about emotion focused therapy, which is kind of like I think it's a well, I always go on about what's going on in America. It seems to be there's like another wave. So, CBT seems to be turning into something called ACT, acceptance and commitment therapy. It seems to be the new one.
Oh.
Psychodynamics turning into something called intense short-term dynamic therapy, which
my
a bit
God.
much. And person-centered therapy seems to be turning into emotion-centered therapy. And basically, what we're saying now is that with this new wave, they're actually getting really like similar results, whereas before with person-centered psychodynamic and CBT was getting a lot of the good results. They now seem to have all leveled a bit with this next wave, and I don't hear anything about it here, but it always seems to come up in the last 20 years in America. It seems to be what the psychiatrists are using over there. But anyway, in emotion-centered or emotion-focused therapy, it combines elements of person-centered, Gestalt, and focusing oriented psychotherapy. If you've heard of that, they're good. So it's like things like two-chair dialogue and focusing and core conditions and stuff like that, but with other concepts, including changing an emotion with another emotion, so that sometimes to get out of a depression you have to go through motivating anger,
Yes.
things like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it's not like I really find that problematic the way a lot of people were talking about anger. It's
Yeah.
bad.
You push it down, get rid of it. Yeah.
But it's like, when what is it communicating? It's usually injustice, frustration, and an attack on your self-esteem, a perceived attack, and all that there.
Yeah.
But what was your quote?
Oh, the quote was the Gestalt prayer, but I had a dream lined up if you prefer.
Well, what would you prefer?
I think I prefer the dream,
Yeah.
I want your opinion. Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. Let's see. Ooh, there's like three. There's one with 3 sections. And it's quite long.
Right. Will I write? Get my notes. Oh.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
I don't know which one to go for. I'll go for the shorter one because we're coming up to the end of our time. We're coming up to the end of our time together. That's right. How do you end a session? Actually, how do you start to say we're running out of time, or do you say?
Oh, right.
Just out of curiosity.
I don't know. Sometimes it depends. Like sometimes, I don't know. It seems most of the time I'd just be like, I'm aware we're running out of time.
Yes.
But then sometimes I would be a bit flexible.
Oh, me too, definitely.
Time,
somebody very close to me told me a story of when they went to the GP with depression, and there's not many good GP depression stories. GPs sometimes can really drop the ball, I think. But she said that she came to the GP and she'd been having panic attacks. Basically, she has had PTSD, and the first thing the GP did was cancel his next 2 appointments or move them basically to later in the day. And I'm like, how big a deal it is for somebody to make time for them.
That's amazing.
So if you can, sometimes I think like I know boundaries are important, and you can tell when someone's not respecting your boundaries, but then there's also a time and a place sometimes to sort of go, you need a little more, and I'm going to give you a little more.
Well, I'm going to celebrate the GP, who I haven't actually seen her for like a year and a half, but whenever I went to see her, the one in this area, we were always late. right? She
Mhm.
was always running late,
Uh-huh.
but nobody ever really said anything about her running late because we always knew she gave you the time.
Wow, I see.
Because
That's
we
good.
knew whenever you're sitting in the waiting room, they're like, "How late she running?" And they'd be like, "Oh, 40 minutes."
Yeah.
But we always say, "Well, we know what she's like. She's really kind. She will not kick you out."
Yeah.
She would sit with you, and she really gives you the time. So she doesn't.
Wow.
But I think that would do some. It might do the
Yeah.
like admin and all their head in.
I
But
but
she's a popular
yeah.
doctor, and she's very kind.
Yeah.
And she's a bit eccentric. I love her.
You often find that the I mean, eccentricities where most of the magic happens.
Oh God, isn't it?
So there's this stream, but also I kind of interested with I want to talk a little more about finishing sessions. Keeping in mind that we've got about 6 minutes roughly before we reach an hour, and we can go a little over. We can
Yeah.
go a little over.
We can be
especially
flexible.
yeah, considering what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
Oh God, it sounds like I was manipulating you the whole
It's
time with it.
alright.
Tell me a story about the time you
Manip-
went to overtime with a client for the good of them, so that we can then go overtime with this podcast. But right, so I remember in class they always told us basically whenever we were doing triad work, which is when you get counselling students to counsel each other, and you can give a fake story or you can just give your own story. Most of us just give our own story because it's just extra mental work, isn't it, to
Yeah.
pretend to be somebody else, and which in hindsight actually doesn't sound so ethical, but getting people to open up about themselves to untrained people. But anyway, it's all with their consent. So
It is all with their consent.
so in triad work, they would always say like one thing you should always do is let the client know when you got 5 minutes left in the session. And then whenever I got to placement work and I started doing that, I noticed that the minute you say that to a client, they're taking that as it's over rather than we've got a little more time left, about another 5 minutes. Like they take that as wrap it up, mate. Whenever you go, we've got another 5 minutes. So yeah, I would just basically it's like you were saying, just sort of go. I'm becoming aware just that we're starting to run out of time. Like obviously you've got as much time as you need just to complete what we're talking about. But
Yeah.
stuff like that,
No, well, I do like to say, look, I'm just aware of time, but so it's more if they bring up something really,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just nice because I don't like things being interrupted abruptly, and
Yeah.
that was one of the things with the people who were in schools. The bell would interrupt. The bell would be the way.
Yeah.
And that would be, I think that's kind of
jarring.
Yeah, jarring.
Yeah.
Way 10. Oh, that's it. Time's up. Kind of thing.
Yeah, because it's like a very sudden absence of the therapeutic. I hesitate to say love, but yeah, it's a very sudden like withdrawal of love.
Yeah, withdrawal.
Imagine if you're a baby and your mum just suddenly went, "Oh, time's up. I'm not your mum anymore, just for a while." Like,
but that's one of the reasons. Like with the private practice, I love it.
Yeah,
I love doing it in this room, and everything's just you're a bit more in control of the environment. I've got my supervision, and it's more relaxed, and I just feel better than like my placement was brilliant. But I just love private practice. I love doing
more control.
Practice. It's just you're more you.
Yeah,
it's more authentic.
I can see that definitely.
Yeah, because you're only representing you as a private practitioner.
Yeah,
you're not representing a company or anything. So like Nexus,
yeah.
Cruise, all that there. You're just here, right? This is the integrated counselor. This is what I'm into. This is the way I work. But I would be with the clients, right? You tell me what works for you. So I had a client recently. I was like, they wanted to talk about this. And I was like, well, this is what I'm usually like. This is the way I usually work. If you're not happy with it, tell me to be a bit more directive there and we'll work like that.
It's good to give clients power early on and say, like, I often say, like, tell me, please, if this isn't doing anything for you.
Yes.
And, and what I like is sometimes a client will immediately say, I don't usually tell people things like that. Yes. So then I'm glad you told me that, because then we can figure out a way.
Yeah.
We can work on something.
Well, I have a tendency to be person-centered.
Yeah.
But then if a client wants direction and wants a directive counselor, they're going to have to, it's going to not be always that natural for me.
Yeah. And in a way, you're kind of learning them to direct by getting them to direct you to be directive. it's a nice
Hopefully, it can
little
be empowering.
it's a nice little feedback circle.
Yeah.
I don't know if do we have time for a dream?
Well, what did you say? It's a short one.
Yeah, it's relatively short. Yeah. Okay. Just check to see if there's any sex in it because I'd be embarrassed to tell you about that.
Oh, come on! If you've got a sex one, we want to hear it. That's
okay.
so appropriate for therapy.
This one's I know, very defensive. Okay, so my girlfriend Sarah, we'll just call her Sarah. Sarah and I are going upstairs in an outdoor area of a bar. Someone shouts at us because of the dress code. It's a doorman, but from another bar halfway up the street who can see us. It's apparently legitimate for him to do this as he works for both bars. It's a rude drill sergeant sort of shout. The doorman is called Davy. Who, is related to something client related. It's not the name of a client, but it's related to something of a client. We come to that bar, which I think is the American bar, on a different night. We're wearing sort of period outfits. I ask him if it's all right for us to come in, and he smugly smiles and shakes his head. He doesn't explain it. He just doesn't want to. Sarah, behind me, starts threatening to make Facebook posts to the page about him. He says she can do that as much as she wants. End of dream. I must say, by the way, that isn't Sarah's sort of behaviour. She's not one of those, can I speak to the manager, please? I'll make a bad TripAdvisor review on you. She's not one of them people.
Right, I love it's legitimate for him to do so. That's great.
Apparently so.
So he can shout at you about the dress code from another bar.
It's like an inner critic character, isn't it?
Yeah.
And apparently I've given him legitimacy.
And
what's he, garden?
Have you ever heard of subpersonalities and
psychosynthesis? Yeah, I like psychosynthesis.
Psychosynthesis.
I liked the egg at first, the egg diagram. Google it, listeners. It's good. Psychosynthesis
Put up
egg.
A wee post about
actually, yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that. But I fell back into Jung after a while. I was just like, it's like they're putting frames on Jung, and I don't like it.
Well, Jung's the man. Like,
yeah.
But this, I'd say, this is right. When was that dream?
Start of the month. Can I also add that the American bar that I think it is, it could be. I mean, it could be a symbol of how I think about America, maybe. But I actually, the comedy club which I run, the venue's being renovated. So for 2 months, we're moving it to the American bar. So I imagine there's also probably something to do there with fear about whether or not it's actually going to work in a new bar.
I think this is synthesis.
The synthesis of something.
This is like the different aspects of you.
Yeah.
The fact that your partner, your girlfriend's in it. A lot about the relationship.
We've just moved in together, listeners.
And there we go.
And we were about to at the time of the stream, and I think it's been successful.
Yes, well, brilliant.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. So synthesis of I love the fact that the rebellion, girlfriend, it's legitimate for other parts of your personality to get involved.
Yeah.
From different bars and different things. I don't know. It just seems like
not even his bit.
Yeah.
He can fuck off.
That's not relationship look.
Yeah. That's Ooh.
Oh.
Grumpy look.
No, or that's like it's bringing all the different parts of yourself together. I love subpersonalities.
Yeah.
Subpersonalities just gives you it's all about moving towards integration of all the different parts of who we are.
Of myself, yeah. Well, what's he trying to keep me out of? Like, if it's the American bar, I think there's part of there that's like a fear of success, and there's an inner critic that's not letting me enjoy it.
The period costume's brilliant.
Yeah, I don't know what that's about.
Well,
olden times or
history,
yeah. Actually, okay. So I have a history of running a successful comedy night. Why am I scared that I will not run a successful comedy night in this new bar? Why am I being kept out from getting comfortable in this place?
Yeah.
Why am I keeping myself out? Really, I suppose. And yeah, there's definitely what I wrote down was actually pretty half-assed at the time because I think I wrote just an quick interpretation just after the morning it happened. Theme emerging of an authority figure shutting me out of something and me being frustrated, feeling impotent and trying to get back in. And I thought it might be repressed anger about I had an interview for a job a few months ago. It was a promotion in my current job, and I didn't get it. And to be honest, I was fine with it. I was really happy to just be considered and taken seriously. But this dream says maybe I'm more annoyed about it than I suspected. Um, and the dream seems to suggest it's some sort of impotent frustration, and there's arbitrary favoritism. Like the doorman just shakes his head and smugly smiles. He doesn't have to explain why he's not letting us in and letting everyone else in. He's just doing it.
Oh, yeah, rebellion.
Yeah, yeah. Like,
But this, it's like it's a coming together. But you're actually in that work. But are there aspects of it that you really don't like? You don't agree with?
um,
There are aspects of
not,
bar life and all that. Like,
I guess not at the moment, but like there used to be definitely aspects of the job that I really disagreed with and things like that. And there's aspects of it that are like that I was definitely unhappy with in the past, and I don't think they were fully resolved. I think they're often remembered with me in a sort of unfavorable position, and to be honest, that's not really how it happened in my experience. Um,
yeah, but that's what
I'm
people are gonna
yeah.
do. They always try and it's justification. When that's the problem sometimes when you're very self-aware
Uh-huh.
and you're dealing with people who aren't.
Uh-huh.
They don't think in terms of we all had our parts to play. We all could do better.
Yeah.
So if you take any accountability for anything
Uh-huh.
in their non-self-aware minds, well,
Yeah.
that's you
Taking accountability for the whole thing.
Yes.
Yeah, there's no nuance or black and whiteness.
No. It's very difficult.
Well, now we say that, I'm thinking it might actually be about something else entirely outside of work and comedy promoting. Actually, now that that's opened up something else in my head. I'm feeling a little defensive about talking about, but I think there was the group of friends who I was really close to as I grew up. There was like this there was this girlfriend I had when I was maybe 21, and it ended really badly, and they kind of chose her over me, and for reasons that are not without merit, but also are quite arbitrary. Oh, there's a repetition of a motif on arbitrary favoritism, and I'm still a little bitter about it sometimes whenever they come up in my Facebook feed.
But you think about it in this, but we're not taught about emotional maturity, about how, right? You are often, well, if they split up and she said this and he said that.
Yeah, there was a lot of that.
Choose, whereas I treat people.
I really tried not to take part in it, and then it meant that I wasn't actually able to make my own case because I didn't want to take part in the bitching about an ex. Whereas she was quite happily like just making up a whole Victorian novel about the asshole that I was.
And that's sometimes what can be very, very difficult because like gossip, and also why do people gossip? Self-soothing, making themselves feel better. Also, if you're not self-aware, you will not know that we are you'll want to defend yourself. You're actually in quite a vulnerable position.
Yeah.
The more on self-aware you, that's not like on self-aware. I don't know if that's, but you're actually in a lot more of a vulnerable position. So as somebody who's very self-aware, I would be like, yeah, I can be a nightmare. Whereas if somebody doesn't like me, she's like, yeah, she's a nightmare. Hold on a minute, the two of us can be nightmares if we have an encounter that doesn't go well. I mean, like, but that black and white thinking, like cognitive distortions all over the show. But it can be difficult. You don't have to pick sides. But people think you do. They think it's a morality issue. They think it's a reflection on them who they go with. Whereas actually, I'm always like, well, they did nothing to me, or they've always been good to me. Like, but that's not self-actualization. Maslow. Maslow talks about self-actualized people are aware that we're not perfect beings. And that things are nuanced. But not many people are actually self-actualized.
No. And I think there's a lot of, I guess, what in CBT they call black and white thinking.
Yes.
And often, black and white thinking is mentioned as a cognitive distortion and used in the context that people have black and white thinking about themselves and use it to put themselves down. Like, if I'm not this, I must be this.
Yes.
But it's also something that's done outwardly to others. Like, Well, here's a perfect example. I saw this great article the other day. I can't remember what her name is. We'll call her Jenny or something. It said Jenny from Love Island will not be appearing at the RHI inquiry. Did you see that?
No.
And I think the general reaction was, well, yeah, of course not. But it turned out that I don't know, Jenny from Love Island was actually in a small way involved with the RHI crisis. Like, so what I'm saying is, it's black and white thinking to assume that everyone on Love Island's a total idiot who's never done an important job in their life. Like, that's obviously like a civil servant of some sort. I haven't done my research, but so it's a civil servant who had an important job. And now can't appear at the inquiry because she's at Love Island, which I don't know if that was on purpose. Like, Arlene Foster's application was turned out, dear Arlene, sadly, you will not be appearing on this series of Love Island. Great.
But that's it. Sometimes we do take things and that's another thing. We do take things very personally.
Yeah.
But actually, another thing, what I come back to all the time, what other people think of you is none of your business.
Yeah.
And the right people will be for you.
Oh yeah, it was absolutely really beneficial for my life.
Natural
I think
selection.
it was. Yeah, it was in a sense natural selection of.
You didn't have to do anything.
Of friends. I think I think the only and I've definitely done a lot of work over the years, because I'm talking like 2012, like that me and this group of friends sort of quote unquote broke up. But
it's still
it's a long time ago. I think it's just every now and again they'll pop up in my feed and they all look really happy, and I'll just go like, oh, but then I sort of remember that, it's happy photographs, but there's still shit going on. Like, nobody's life's perfect, and it's black and white thinking to assume that they're now living perfect lives without me, as well as it would be black and white thinking to assume that they're all still backstabbing dickheads.
Yeah, but
they're neither. They're just people.
Well, it's painful. We all want to be understood.
Yes.
And they didn't understand you.
Yes.
And it hurt.
Absolutely. And And again, you got to make room for nuance and ambivalence. Like 2 years after this quote unquote big friendship group breakup, I did an hour of stand up for the first time, and they all came, and I was so touched. Just that they were there, and I don't think I maybe communicated that to them enough. It was really a big deal to me that they came, and they were supportive. Obviously, the ex-girlfriend wasn't there, but why would she? It's painful for her probably to even look at me. Life is
one of my exes.
Thank you for saving me from that sentence. I was going nowhere.
One of my exes is friends with my entire family apart from me.
Really?
Yeah. I had to spend years.
It's kind of shitty.
Well, good luck.
That's shitty ex behavior. No, it doesn't matter if you get along with their family. They're their family.
There's either an ex for a reason,
Yeah.
They all are.
It's really, I think that's shitty behavior, but I mean, it's definitely different to the situation I described, because that's a friend being friends with my friends. At the end of the day, if they quote unquote chose her, that's fine.
Yeah,
they can't do that. But a family, that's a different thing. A different thing.
Yeah, but yeah,
That's
sure.
territory.
Facebook's Facebook.
Yeah,
It's not real life, baby.
that's true.
Right. So this is episode number 5.
5.
Most of this we went all over the place.
I think we're really I feel that sometimes whenever we finish an episode, I was like, God, I wish we'd spent more time, because there's so much more we could have said. But I feel like this episode, I think everything we talked about, I feel really happy with the
Well,
amount
I
that we
feel
covered.
a bit bad for hijacking the start with my labour stories.
You couldn't have done that without my permission or partnership. I was unable to go along with that.
But I really appreciate you, Luke.
I really appreciate you, Louise.
And I really appreciate anybody who listens. And the comments have been really touching. And
Yeah.
we're just having fun.
And Laura, thanks for giving us a little peek inside your brain.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to do it again. We're always here with our ears.
Yes.
And our mouths.
And our mouths. With the jingle.
Yeah, I was hoping to get away with it. Okay, well, wait.
Therapy Geeks.
I was going to say you lead the note and I'll follow.
I don't know what happened. That was dissonant.
Thanks for listening to Therapy Geeks. Find us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Podcast Addict, Deezer, Listen Notes, Stitcher, Podcast Index, and Buzzsprout. Give us a like or a follow or a subscription, whatever your podcast app allows. Thanks for listening.